Hello, I'm Randy Swallow. Welcome to our special program, COVID-19, Working Through It Together. On this show, we'll meet the people that are helping Clark County move forward during these pandemic times. The 8th District Judicial Court is the largest in Nevada, and it never closed. But now there are new rules and regulations. Chief Judge Linda Bell gives us all the information for anybody entering the Regional Justice Center. Judge Bell, the 8th Judicial District Court hasn't really closed since March, since mid-March when the COVID-19 hit. How have you continued to conduct court business?
Sure, it wasn't really an option for us to close. We have several essential case types that have to go forward, things like domestic violence, protective orders. We have people who are arrested who have to have criminal cases processed, and child welfare cases, things like that that need to go forward. So we tried to look really carefully at what was essential, what we really needed to have go forward, and had an order in place that allowed those case types to go forward, even if people needed to show up for court. For everything else, we either continued those cases or we had alternative means appearances. We already had rules in place through the Nevada Supreme Court to allow people appear by telephone or by audiovisual means. That we haven't used them very much, but we sure are making a lot of use of them now.
I'll ask you about that in a second, Judge. But of course, now safety and health of everyone is so vital, and I'm sure the now familiar social distancing and masks are part of what's going on down at the RJC. What are those changes, and what other changes will people see when they enter the RJC?
That's probably the biggest change. We have stanchions that have 6 feet measured on them. We have measurements on the floors. We have signs that say only 4 people can go on the elevator, which is a really big deal at the RJC. But at both the family court campus and the RJC, we have measurements to try to make sure that people are able to socially distance, signs. The video appearances is a huge difference. If you walk into a courtroom, it looks very different than it did 4 months ago. You'll have a lot of people appearing by video, which was really uncommon before that.
And what about just people entering the court? I know that you have a 14-day quarantine that you're asking people to respect if they've been out of town.
Out of the country. So if people have traveled out of the country, or it's really the CDC guidelines. If you've traveled out of the country, if you have coronavirus and you have not been cleared by a doctor, if you're living with somebody that has coronavirus, if you have a fever or you're not well, we're asking those people not to come into the courthouse. We do have the ability for people to call a number and reschedule. We also encourage in the district court appearances by alternative means. We're very limited because of social distancing to the number of people who can come into the courthouse at any given time. So we're really trying to encourage people who have district court appearances to make arrangements to appear by video when they can. It's fairly easy. It's a link that is emailed to the person, and you can appear by your telephone, just like I'm appearing right now.
So, Your Honor, you have several different video conference and telephone conference methods. Can you just explain those a little bit more?
Our primary way of doing video and telephone is through Blue Jeans. That's the platform that we use throughout the court. So every single courtroom has the ability to have audiovisual appearances through Blue Jeans or telephone conferences through Blue Jeans. We can do the old-fashioned way telephone conferences on a phone. Some of the primarily civil departments use something called Court Call, which is a company that handles those kinds of conference calls for courts. So we have all of those methods available to us.
So obviously, Your Honor, despite the fact that you're conducting court in a different fashion, proper court decorum and dress code still apply. You're not going to allow an attorney or defendant to be in an inappropriate T-shirt or even maybe perhaps driving in their car while they're conducting court business, right?
I wish I could say that hadn't happened, but it has. We had an issue with the technology, and my IT guy emailed me a photo of an attorney appearing from their car while they were driving. We've had people appear in all sorts of interesting attire, and um, lawyers in far more casual attire than one would normally expect.
How about in the courtroom procedures itself? I mean, obviously, masks are part of it, but social distancing. Now, is that always possible when an attorney is conferring with you or conferring with their clients?
With so right now, all of the people who are in custody who have criminal cases in the court are appearing either by video or in our lower level arraignment court, where they're behind glass. And so there really isn't an ability for the lawyer to get that close and confer. We do have a telephone. We have the ability for them to call into the space where the people who are in custody are. So that isn't much of an issue. We've always had social distancing with the judge, so usually people aren't within 6 feet of the judge. That's a pretty easy one. And with other clients, I think we just have to be careful. We're just starting to have lawyers and clients come in any real meaningful way in terms of people who are out of custody. We just try to, keep people spaced apart to the extent we can. Obviously, the additional wearing of masks is very helpful.
And how about for people attending court in the audience? I know you've got different sizes of court, and I assume there'll be 50% capacity. Or if a court, if a case is attracting a lot of attention, you can move it to different courts. Is that kind of business as usual as far as that goes, Your Honor?
Oh, not at all. And I wish we could do 50% capacity. When we do social distancing measurements, it actually reduces most of our courtrooms to about 25% capacity. It's just because of the way that courtrooms are set up. Not all of the space is really usable. So we can put about 24, 25 people. Even in our large courtrooms, there's really not a huge difference between how many people we can fit in there. So we are fairly limited to the number of people who can come in. We've extended, for example, to reporters the ability to appear by alternative means, so they can, rather than sit in the courtroom, they can watch through the video. We're trying to do anything creative like that we can, so to make sure that people have access to watch court proceedings without having to come into the building.
So that does allow for media access into court appearance as well?
Absolutely.
How about jury trials, Your Honor? I know you haven't had any jury trials since March. How will this work? Is there a jury pool that will be selected? And what if someone, a potential juror, is afraid to venture out in public or has health issues that doesn't allow them to sit on a jury?
We're summoning our first jury panel to come in the week of July 27th. Our first panels. We're really trying to take as many precautions as we can to make sure that people do feel comfortable. Obviously, everybody in the court is required to wear masks. I think that's particularly important at the court facilities because not everybody there is there optionally. They don't have the ability to just say, I'm not going to go. So everybody will be wearing masks. We have our jury services room. We can socially distance up to 70 people. We'll make sure that facility is sanitized in between, every night in between panels. The jurors come in through the south entrance of the Regional Justice Center. So they have they come in a different entrance than the public. And if our escalator is back up and running again soon, then they'll be able to take the escalator to the third floor jury services without getting on the elevator. Our plan right now is to do jury selection in that jury services room, which is a much larger facility. We very fortunately have our JABs, our recording equipment works in that room as well. And then if people are uncomfortable or they're not well, just like any time people have jury services, they have the ability online to reschedule their jury services to a later date.
And where will they physically be sitting in the jury box?
So most of our courtrooms we cannot fit a jury of 12, a criminal jury. We cannot fit in the jury box. So we'll have some people in the jury box and some people in the gallery. We have that all measured out to make sure that it works.
Now, I'm sure, these jury trials there must be a backlog of cases. How long will it take you to catch up, or just kind of bring us up to date on that?
So I think for the regular things we do, it really shouldn't be too bad because we have continued to operate. I know with out of custody criminal cases, it's going to take us a little bit of time to catch up, but we have calendars and we're doing those kinds of cases now. Jury trials is really the big concern, and I don't have a great answer for that. We normally are trying somewhere around 8 to 10 trials a week. We will be able to do at the very maximum 5 to start off with, and that doesn't account for all the weeks that we've had trials stack up. We're going to work on doing civil and criminal settlement conferences in hopes of getting some of those numbers down. We're also encouraging in civil, and criminal, the use of bench trials because it's a little bit easier for us to proceed with a bench trial. We don't have to worry about managing a jury. So there are options available to get cases move forward other than jury trials, but that's the jury trial piece is really the challenge for us, and it's going to take us a while to get caught up.
Nearly everyone's business has been affected like this. For example, I think 6 months ago, we probably wouldn't, my business, we wouldn't be conducting this interview like this. How has this affected you and your staff? Any personal thoughts or anecdotes that you can tell us about?
Well, it's all hard, right? There's certainly some silver linings to it. We've moved some technology things forward in the court that I think are a long run going to be very beneficial. And then there's, all of the challenges, right? I certainly miss interacting personally with my staff. I see my staff about once a week. I don't really see the other judges. We had a executive committee meeting today, just like this by video. That's not normal. It's hard to have everything so disruptive. It's not comfortable wearing a mask while you're conducting court. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. A lot of this is it's very challenging. It's very challenging. And I'm sure, I'm no different than anybody else in wanting things to go back to normal soon.
All right. Well, this was the Chief Judge of the 8th Judicial District Court, Linda Bell. Thank you so much for taking time to give us this great information.
Thank you. My pleasure.
To learn how Clark County can help you or help your business if you've been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic or aftermath, visit our website at clarkcountynb.gov. On behalf of all of us here at Clark County Television, I'm Randy Swallow. We'll see you again next time.